This video is going to show you the easiest way that you can unlock the social distancing Dark Ops challenge in Call of Duty Zombies. In fact, it's so easy we can just stay in one spot, killing everything in sight, making what is quite possibly one of the toughest Dark Ops challenges into one of the most mediocre ones. Now, just before we talk about anything like loadouts and how to obviously set up for this challenge, I do just want to quickly point out some very important information. As some of you will know, because you've been trying to do this challenge, and I assume that's why you're clicking on this video, you need to get to round 20 without taking any damage in order to unlock this challenge. So not only do we need to be mindful of the zombies that of course can swipe us and deal damage to us, that also includes any fall damage and any damage from any environmental things like cars blowing up or even splash damage if you're going to be using an explosive weapon, which of course, hint hint nudge nudge, we're going to be doing. So just bear that in mind, that if you take any damage at all, whether it's from a zombie or yourself, that will prevent you from unlocking this challenge. So just be extremely careful and bear that in mind when we're going through the steps, but I will of course point out key areas to look out for as we come across them. Saying all that, I should really tell you how to set up for your games, and I do highly recommend that you go into Liberty Falls, because the best place to basically be in to get this social distancing challenge done is in fact going to be Liberty Falls Spawn. The reason why it's so good is because there's actually only 2 locations zombies can come from, so we can basically hunker down, bunker up, and just use weapons like the GS-45 Pack-a-Punch to annihilate those zombies as soon as they jump onto the roof, and do it at a very good distance, so even without PhD Flopper, you can get this done nice and easily. So of course we are going to be utilizing the GS-45s because, I mean, it's me, what other weapon are we going to be using? But we're not going to be using them as our starting weapon. So if you go into your loadout and click on the GS-45s and create a build that has them akimbo, make sure that you press your left trigger, or I believe it's L2 on PlayStation, to basically assign it to a zombie build, because we are going to purchase this gun off the wall, and as long as you've got that zombie symbol in the sort of like bottom right of this weapon, when you buy the weapon in-game off the wall, it will then give you this exact build. So that's why it's important you do this, and make sure that you've got akimbo on them so that we can get ourselves the Mustang and Sally's, which is what this becomes when you pack-a-punch them. But as I say, we're not starting with this weapon, and I highly recommend that you start with something like the ASG shotgun. Again, you can use a different weapon if you feel more comfortable using an assault rifle like the AK-47 or any of the SMGs that might reload a little bit quicker too. Basically, whichever gun that you're going to start with is going to help us get to round 7 or 8, as we're going to use those early rounds as point builders to open up the map so we can get access to Pack-a-Punch, as well as buying the GS-45s off the wall, and of course Pack-a-Punching them in one foul swoop. The other last 2 things to note as well about your loadout is the field upgrade that I highly recommend that you use, and that is going to be Ether Shroud, because this is going to be super handy when trying to take out the abominations. Of course, they can be the real big pain in this challenge, especially if you don't have something that can take them out quickly, but to kind of like negate needing to shoot them in the head and ensuring that you do as much damage as quickly as possible before they shoot you or try and hit you, you can use Ether Shroud to allow them to walk away and obviously deal the damage that you need to deal whilst they're not attacking you, and that is going to be the best way to get rid of abominations for this particular challenge. Again, you can apply augments to Ether Shroud that increase the time that you have whilst shrouded, and if you haven't researched that, don't worry, you can still do it without it, but of course you're going to have a lot less time to try and beat the abomination while shrouded, so I highly recommend that you get that augment. But like I say, it's not like 100% necessary. But then I also recommend that you add some form of explosive tactical or lethal grenade on your class before you go in, and the reason why I say that is because we're going to make use of the side Easter egg where we blow up these zombie head on top of the church roof. I'll explain when and why we're doing that in a little moment, but just know we are doing it, so bring something explosive. So now that your loadout's ready, obviously jump into your games, and for the beginning round, I highly recommend that you stay at the top of this building, at the top of the spawn, and let the zombies come to you. Obviously try and get as many headshots as you can, as we need to, like I said at the beginning, build as many points as possible to open up to Pack-a-Punch, and obviously buy the GS45s too. But you can also make use of the motel zombies that come out of the Thrusterdyne room. So if you want to go through the motel and up the stairs to then have them open up the door, there's about sort of 7 or 8 zombies that come flying through, which of course will give you a load more points and potentially some more salvage too. Just be careful whenever you are coming off the roof. Basically, do not jump off of the roof. Make sure that you just naturally drop off, because if you jump and take full damage here, you will have to restart this challenge. So just be mindful whenever you come off the roof, because you are high enough to take full damage if you jump, because like I say, if you take damage, that's it. You need to restart. But if you choose to go to the motel and clear the first wave of zombies, I just recommend staying up at the top of the roof until about round 4, because at this point you should have around about 6,000 points, especially if you had a double points drop during one of those early rounds, where you can then go and open up the map to Pack-a-Punch. And I highly suggest that you pick one of the 2 sides. I personally suggest going through the comic book area, because we're going to pick up these perks later on, but we are going to utilize both Speed Cola and PhD. Just where we're using the GS45s, PhD will give us that like safety net if we do get too close to zombies when shooting that weapon. And of course, Speed Cola is going to be a saving grace when it comes to reloading our weapons if it gets a bit hairy. And just as a keynote as well, don't forget you've got a free extra credits just chilling on the side of the comic store building, like right here. Just shoot the like miniature symbol of the extra credits and it will spawn in front of you for a free 500 points. But when you get to the church, use the frag, semtex or impact grenade that we had at the very beginning to destroy the zombie head that is resting on the spike at the top of this roof. When you destroy that zombie head, zombies will then start falling from the sky and you will get a whole bunch of drops, including essence, salvage, score streaks, and even an ether tool. Although you can leave this Easter egg until round 10 to make sure that the ether tool is then a blue rarity rather than green, I highly recommend that you do this earlier so that you can make your starting weapon a green rarity, so that you can survive a little bit easier for rounds 5, 6, and 7. Also, be careful with the bodies that fall from the sky, because of course if they land on you, that will inflict some damage, and like I said at the very beginning of this video, if you get hit by anything, that will prevent you from unlocking this calling card. So basically, once you destroy the zombie head at the top of the church, just get some distance, maybe go towards the Arsenal machine or even back down the hill a little bit and just wait 30 odd seconds for all of the bodies to fall. Then you can sweep up all of the goodies that they left behind. And after you've done that and made sure that you've applied the green ether tool to your weapon, also look out for the sentry gun, because again, during this challenge we can use score streaks, which of course is going to be super handy, and the sentry gun is actually a really big help during the vermin rounds, because vermins can jump at you and like leap at you, covering a lot of distance really quickly, but the sentry gun can of course kill them as they're spawning to the left and also as they're jumping up the building or crawling up the building if you place it well enough. So that will be a big help during the first vermin round, to which you'll then get a max ammo and now have a fully fledged green shotgun or green weapon of your choice to fly through rounds 6 and 7. Essentially, with your green gun, earn enough points so that you can buy the GS45s off the wall and Pack-a-Punch them. There's every chance that they might be a blue rarity by the end of round 7 or round 8, so just bear in mind that's going to increase the costs of the weapons off the wall. But if they're a green rarity, they will only cost 750 points, so by having around about 6,000 points, you should then have enough to buy the weapon off the wall and Pack-a-Punch it. But again, if you haven't opened the door to Pack-a-Punch yet, do consider that too, as I believe that door costs around about 2,500 in solo. So basically work your way up to 8,500 points just to open up the door, buy the gun, and then Pack-a-Punch. And then once you've got yourself the Pack-a-Punch dual-wield GS45s, again, if you've got enough salvage, you can also upgrade them to the blue rarity, so you've got a blue or rare rarity weapon at Pack-a-Punch Pack-a-Punch level 1, and then basically if you go back up to that roof and just sort of stand back a little bit, even without PhD Flopper, you shouldn't be taking any damage. So as I say, just kind of use the gameplay that you're seeing here as like a visual reference of where you should be standing. But even with a Pack-a-Punch level 1 blue rarity Mustang and Sally, you can make easy work of the Mangler that spawns in at round 11, and make easy work of the pest rounds that will happen between round 12 and 14. Again, I'm just going to kind of like show you the full round. You kind of just need to keep an eye on both spots where they can spawn, and as soon as you see a vermin pop up or jump down, shoot that area, because again, like I mentioned earlier, they can jump or lunge at you, so you need to basically shoot them as they appear on your screen. So like I was doing in this attempt, was just kind of like swiveling back and forth. I suggest you do that as well and just scan both of those spawn locations, because as soon as they appear there, just shoot, get them gone, so you've got no chance of them sort of like creeping up to you or jumping and lunging at you and therefore doing damage. You're also probably wondering at what point I bought PhD Flopper and why I haven't mentioned it sooner, but realistically you don't need PhD Flopper, but if you did want to go and get it, feel free to do that again between the rounds of round 11 and 14, so basically soon after Pack-a-Punching the guns, just in case you want that like added security. But as I've mentioned again already, if you just stay far enough back in that spawn area, you won't be hit by any splash damage. But if you wanted to go and get PhD Flopper at this point, definitely go and get it now, and of course grab Speed Cola whilst you're at it. And then now we're just basically staying here, racking up points and racking up salvage to work towards getting this to Pack-a-Punch level 2 and purple rarity. But of course there's going to be one big problem at round 15, and that is going to be the Abomination. When this spawns in, I highly recommend that you use the Ether Shroud to try and deal as much damage as possible. By round 15 in my game, I did in fact get enough points to Pack-a-Punch my gun to level 2 and had enough salvage to get it to purple, so you should be able to do that too. And although I made a massive meal of it in my footage and he like walked away, you can indeed defeat him even if you don't shoot him in the mouth with just 1 or 2 full magazines of the GS45s. So just make sure you do a better job than me of making sure you hit your shots, and the Abomination will go down nice and quickly. And then the other beautiful thing with Ether Shroud is that the zombies will come up at you basically all at the same time, so you can basically kill like 10 of them as they all pop up from the roof. So although you might not have too much ammo left after defeating the Abomination, realistically you can defeat the entire round with just sort of like 5 or 6 shots of your GS45s. And then again, we're just now flying through the rounds with the GS45s. Just make sure that you purchase ammo at the end of each round, just to ensure that you definitely have a full magazine for each round. But again, with this level of Pack-a-Punch and rarity on the weapons, Manglers are basically 2-shot, so they're nothing to worry about, and you'll only really have to deal with 1 per round. But again, when you get yourself to round 19, you will have a second Abomination where you can do exactly the same thing. Pop that Ether Shroud, shoot them in their mouths, deal as much damage as physically possible. And I think I actually got a chopper gunner from either a Mangler or the Abomination from beforehand, so I did end up using that. But again, I made an absolute mess of the Ether Shroud strat and just missed all of my shots. So again, if you're a much steady shot than I am, you can probably just defeat the Abomination with just simply the GS45s and the Ether Shroud active. So again, you can indeed use score streaks. So if you do get a chopper gunner or a mutant injector whilst doing this particular run, feel free to use them. I believe the mutant injector still like counts even if you do get hit whilst in that. But again, I didn't physically use a mutant injector, so if anybody has done and can confirm whether or not if you get hit in a mutant injector, it still allows you to complete this challenge, that would be really handy. But if you even get things like a Hellstorm or an RCXD, that will obviously help you too. So make use of the score streaks, just well on the Abomination, and of course any splash damage will affect any zombies nearby too. So PhD might become extremely useful for this level 19 Abomination, and realistically that is the last thing that you need to worry about, because once you beat that Abomination and beat round 19, as soon as you flip to round 20, as long as you have not taken any damage, you will get yourself the social distancing calling card and grab all of the XP and goodies that come with it. So hopefully I've managed to give you a good, concise sort of strategy to be using. I know a lot of people are just relying on the ASG shotgun, so again, if you feel more comfortable doing that rather than using explosive weapons, feel free to fully pack-a-punch and load up your ASG shotgun instead. Just basically do exactly the same as what we've done in this sort of strategy, just upgrade the ASG instead, and then you don't need to worry about PHT flopper. And if there's any tactical grenades that you pick up, like decoy grenades throughout the game, you can again use those. Buy yourself some time to reload if you don't have speed cola, or just need a little bit of breathing space, and run away if the zombies are getting too close. And realistically, by staying on this roof, as boring as it is, this will be the best way, or most efficient way, to get this challenge done. And if this video has helped you in any way, please do consider leaving a like rating down below, as it not only helps this channel out tremendously, but it also push this video in the algorithm and help others that are trying to find ways to get this challenge done nice and easily see this video, so they can obviously get it done for themselves. And if you want to stick around for more Call of Duty Zombies Dark Ops challenges and just Call of Duty Zombies content in general, be sure to subscribe down below. But that's everything from me, guys, so hopefully you enjoy this video. Have fun trying to get this challenge done for yourself, and I guess I'll catch you in the next video of whatever it is that we make. Bye bye.